Okay, hello, how are you? Um, we're going to explain a little bit uh, the last uh, the last enemy that Beowulf is going to face, and this is the dragon. And first of all, I would like to explain to you a little bit about the role of dragons in literature in general. So allow me to share my screen with you to explain some of the characteristics. Yes, usually when we talk about dragons, and we have maybe memories of different movies from our childhood, or from your childhood, actually. But it's interesting how the role of dragons has shifted throughout history, or it has, yes, maybe gone from one place to the other, but that's what makes it interesting. Yes, so dragons in literature, just a very short explanation. Yes, um, some of the most famous dragons that we know nowadays are, for example, from this movie, Raya, that we see this uh, long dragon with a long tail. Yes, very different from the kind of dragon that we may picture. She's a positive character. She can speak. She can. She has special powers. She is a positive character who is trying to help people. Yes. So this is her. Then we have other type of dragons, like these ones from the movie How to Train Your Dragon. They also, it's this is based on a book. Yes, the dragons here also have specific powers. This is actually based in the Anglo-Saxon. I mean, the setting is the Anglo-Saxon period. However, the dragons don't reflect the type of dragon that existed or that people believed that existed in the Anglo-Saxon period. So in this movie, we also see that they can't speak. These dragons can't speak. They have special powers. People are afraid of them. So some of the characteristics were correct, yes, but mainly they were used, well, in this movie, they discovered that they can be used to protect themselves, yes, to protect their towns. Um, but like animals that can be protected. Then we have this dragon. This dragon is from Game of Thrones. Uh, they are big. They are dangerous. They can't speak. They have an animal instinct, not a human instinct. They don't distinguish whether it is good to kill a person or not. Yes, if they need to feed, they would just kill someone. Yes. Oh, I think, yes, here are more pictures. We see here that they have a special bond with Daenerys, yes, Targaryen. Um, we wouldn't see that in the Anglo-Saxon period, but well, in this series, we see that there is a special bond between the dragon and the human. They spit fire, they can fly, they have these big wings, they also have the long tail and all the scales and fangs. Yes, they are more monster-like than the ones from the movies that I showed earlier. Um, However, this is more of a pop culture representation of dragons. What is the most accurate or maybe the most ancient representation of dragons, especially the one that is connected with the Anglo-Saxon period? And this is important because maybe if you are analyzing Beowulf or a text, yes, that is based in that period, yes, or if you want to know what is the root of a real dragon, of what real dragons looked like, well, we have accounts from different parts of the world, yes. So what I will do in this video is I will give you an account of what dragons um, looked like and what dragons represented in the Anglo-Saxon period. Usually dragons were seen as a mixture, yes, biologically speaking, as a mixture of a serpent and a lizard in bigger proportions, okay? And there are ancient accounts from all over the world about the existence of dragons, but specifically, the most ancient accounts come from China and Europe. Now, the representation of dragons in China and Europe is very different. Dragons from the Orient, from China, are said to be peaceful, wise, worshipped. They are used as tokens and blessings, just like in Raya the movie. Yes. Now, in Europe, the representation of dragons is completely negative. They are rotten, evil, they would spit fire, they would eat young girls. They were a synonym of disaster because wherever they were, they could destroy a whole village just in 1 second. Okay, so we have these accounts, and to expand on the concept of the representation of dragons in Europe, yes, here are some characteristics that are connected with the Anglo-Saxon period, the period in which Beowulf was orally told, yes, in that culture. So European dragons were said to be shy. They wouldn't like being around people, yes, so they would be hiding somewhere. They were said to be animals. They are not humans. They are not human beings. That means that they don't have any human attributes. They have an animal instinct. They were evil. They would spit fire. They were long and thin. They had wings. Fire was the main weapon that they would use to destroy others and to defend themselves. They would have big fangs, and they were poisonous, okay? And finally, I have a note here that aside from flying, they could also crawl, and their chief trait is their attachment to the treasure. Yes, this was almost an obsession that they had. That one reference that I didn't mention about the dragon is the movie The Hobbit. When there we have the main character going and facing the dragon, and they have a whole conversation, yes, and that dragon can speak. Usually European dragons cannot speak, yes, and they act by nature, not by intelligent thought, and this idea of how attached they were to the treasure that they were protecting, they were greedy, and they wanted the treasure just to have it, not to spend it or anything else, because they couldn't spend all that treasure. They would only want it. This was a very selfish, very animalistic kind of behavior, because they would protect and they would kill anyone who would come close to their treasure, but they wouldn't spend it. Yes, they would only have it there in a very greedy attitude. Okay. Dragons represent the opposite of the values of the Anglo-Saxon society. Yes, having said this of how attached they were to their treasure, yes, in the Anglo-Saxon society, treasure is for giving, not for keeping. So, of course, in this society, there will be no sympathy towards them. So this was a short summary of what dragons were like in Anglo-Saxon society, so that you take into account when analyzing Beowulf.